Palestine today is like Vietnam after the Tet Offensive, absolutely wrecked by the White Empire, but also rocking their world to the point of losing control. The Tet Offensive, if you're unfamiliar, was when the Viet Cong flooded occupied Vietnam, like Hamas did to occupied Palestine with the Al-Aqsa flood. Both offensives were beaten back, but it was the White Empire that was beaten in the end. As Nixon's Secretary of State and court Jew Henry Kissinger said back then, by opting for military victory through attrition, the American strategy produced what came to be the characteristic feature of the Vietnamese War: military successes that could not be translated into permanent political advantage. Kissinger said, "We fought a military war, so tell that to the kids they napalmed. Our opponents fought a political one. We sought physical attrition. Our opponents aimed for our psychological exhaustion. In the process, we lost sight of one of the cardinal maxims of guerrilla war, and this is the most important part. The guerrilla wins if he does not lose. The conventional army loses if it does not win." Now, look at the Al-Aqsa flood and Hamas and Palestinian liberation in that context. To get back to that shithead Kissinger, he said, "For all these reasons, the Tet Offensive marked the watershed," that means the high watermark, "of the American effort. Henceforth, no matter how effective our actions, the prevalent strategy could no longer achieve its objectives within a period or with force levels politically acceptable to the American people." So compare that today. Supporting Israel is no longer politically acceptable to Americans, in so much as they matter, which they kind of don't. They're just like idiots in the cable TV Coliseum voting thumbs up or thumbs down on whatever the country they drag in to be executed. But American popular opinion doesn't matter until it does. America is becoming much more unmanageable internally, as it did during Vietnam. And that was the start of America's long retreat from the world. If you look at historically, Vietnam was the last time America could conscript an army. That means field a real army of their own men. And this case, when they're running through pawns and proxies like Ukraine and Israel, this, inshallah, is the end of the end. The resistance is not unaware of this. Everybody knows that America will murder and starve your children for a while and then get bored and move on. Syed Hassan Nasrallah, the great martyr whose words I miss daily, said this in 1992. He said, and I think it's still true, he said, "The long-term strategy of the Islamic resistance is clear and does not require additional explanation. It involves fighting against Israel and liberating Jerusalem, as well as Imam Khomeini's proposal, namely ending Israel as a state. We are not unrealistic. We do not pretend that our military capabilities and the numbers of our mujahideen will be enough to regain Jerusalem. None of us have ever made that claim. We do, however, believe that the resistance has to finish the job it started. It is impossible for us to fight the Israeli enemy through traditional and classical methods, but rather through a war of attrition, whereby we drain its energy, weaken it, and one day force it to withdraw." Nasrallah said this over 30 years ago. You can go back and read Ho Chi Minh. He said this for decades. Neither lived to see liberation, but they saw it more clearly than anyone.